Morning guys, it's day 2 of our trip here in Sri Lanka. It's 5:30 in the morning. There's already some chanting over at the Buddhist temple. There was some construction happening down that way, and we're up on our balcony being lazy, and the sky is looking like it's going to be amazing. But I totally forgot how quickly the light changes this close to the equator. We've been out here for like 5 minutes and it's gone from blue hour to just this pre-sunrise light that's really beautiful. And I think there's probably 2 photos up here with the long lens. There's these palm trees that are kind of being silhouetted by the sky off in the background that Keats is shooting, and then there's the Buddha up on the hills way that way. That's all lit up still, and there's some cloud behind it. It looks really good. So 2 shots without even leaving your hotel room.
Kandy, Sri Lanka is just a 3-hour train ride away from Colombo, but it feels days away. Settled up in the hills, it's cooler, and there's always a cloud lingering in the greenery of the city. The skies are busy here, but there's also a very chilled out feeling.
We've kind of been like hanging out all day, getting work done, getting photos edited, videos edited, accounting, blog posts, and it's been a really productive day, although we haven't really left other than to get this food that was way too spicy and was delicious. It's been a good day. It's now an hour until sunset and we're gonna get hit by a car. We're heading to the Temple of the Tooth, I believe it's called, which is the most famous temple maybe in all of Sri Lanka, hey?
Yeah.
And they say that one of Buddha's teeth is there. So we're gonna go check it out. You're not allowed tripods, big tripods at least. We don't think you're allowed to take backpacks in. Yeah, we don't know how we're gonna be able to photograph this, but we're gonna try. So heading down to see Buddha's tooth.
We wandered into the Temple of the Tooth not knowing what we could and couldn't do from a photography perspective. There's no guidelines laid out, so we shot fairly conservatively, stuck to things like the hallways and the paintings.
Okay, so we're in the temple. It's not really that busy, to be honest. There's a couple tourists, but it's mostly like locals walking around here. Really cool space, really beautiful. I think I got a photo, despite the fact that we're not allowed a tripod in here. I'm kind of just using the vlogging camera to take photos and film. I'm using the gimbal to kind of help stabilize the shot. So I think I got a photo of Keats and kind of like this alleyway leading into the temple. That's cool. We're gonna wander around a little bit more and then maybe head outside the temple to see if there's photos outside as well. So yeah, cool space, and let's keep exploring.
This golden roofed building dates back to the 17th century. It's a pilgrimage site for both devout Buddhists and tourists alike. But of course, you don't actually get to see the tooth. It's packed safely away in a golden casket. Still, even without being able to find out what Buddha's tooth looks like, there's a lot to see in the temple. Painted walls, shrines, and beautifully carved architecture. From a photography perspective though, it was a challenge. For me, the most photogenic subjects were the people, but I didn't want to disturb them in their prayers. In photography, there's always a fine line between documentation and respect. And today, I definitely lean towards the latter.
So there's apparently a ceremony at 6:30, so the tourists are really starting to stream in, and we're streaming out, not because it's not beautiful in there, but because it's kind of hard to make a beautiful photo. I think there's a lot of places in the world that are beautiful, but not that photogenic, and I think that's one of those places. Really beautiful, really cool to see, but not a whole lot going on from a photogenic standpoint. So Sunset's literally happening now. I'm not sure we're gonna get another photo today, but maybe we're gonna continue walking around just a little bit. It's still pitch black, or basically pitch black. And since Keats and I kind of struck out yesterday afternoon trying to get a photo, we've come to another one of Kandy's tourist attractions, which is apparently way up a hill. And when you're way out of shape, like I am, it's a slog, but there's a huge Buddha on the hill right there. And once I catch my breath, I think we're gonna try to photograph it. So it looks like this morning is a classic example of shoot the light or shoot the subject. The light on Buddha, aka the subject, is pretty bland. It's like there's no definition in the sky. The light over town, back that way, and the lake is popping, is beautiful. So you kind of got to decide, is the light so good that you're going to totally ignore the subject? And I'm not sure. So I'm gonna wait it out a couple more minutes, but I'm leaning towards photographing the Buddha. This close to the equator, you really kind of have to make decisions, and you have to be firm with them because the light changes so quickly. Back in Norway, obviously we were shooting photos over like a 6-hour period. Here you kind of get like 6 minutes a lot of times. The blue hour is like the blue 15 minutes, and the golden light can sometimes only last like 15 minutes as well. So you kind of got to make decisions. You can't jump from spot to spot. You can't race around. Sometimes you're really only able to photograph one composition at sunset, whereas in other places, more towards the poles, yeah, you can shoot like 7 or 8 different compositions in one golden hour. So I've come to the steps, and honestly, I don't love the photo. It's a little bit squeezed. You can't get farther back. The composition's a little bit too obvious. And yeah, overall it's kind of just lacking a little bit. So I think I'm gonna do exactly what I just said you probably shouldn't do in the tropics, which is change my location. I think I'm gonna go photograph the lake. We had a pretty fantastic sky for a minute there. Of course, I was photographing the Buddha while it was all going down. I find vistas, like big viewpoints like this, really hard to photograph. I tend to just reach out as long as I can while still getting everything in the frame. And to be honest, we've kind of struck out a little bit in Kandy with our photography, but it's been fun anyway. So I think I'm gonna call this an episode. Probably ended up with 3 or 4 images from Kandy, which I can't complain about, but I am hoping for many more images to come in our next destination, which is the Big Rock. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a big rock. And then we're off to Ella, and then off on safari as well. So there should be more fun here in Sri Lanka, and we'll see you later. Peace.